Thank you, Chair. Well, I've yet to meet a consultant who's opposed a road scheme, and what we've got here is an outline business case, which Councillor Bodsworth thinks actually stacks up. Well, one of the things that doesn't stack up for me is on page 236, where the costing assumes inflation at 1.2%. Now, given what the Governor of the Bank of England thinks about inflation, I think he'd be interested in that estimate. He also mentioned, Councillor Bodsworth, about radical changes at government level. Well, we've recently had one, and who knows, we may have some more. So perhaps we might have somebody in charge of transport who doesn't take the predict and provide view and doesn't think that building more roads are going to solve the problem that we have here in this part of Stockport. The cost is not small, even on the business case, 477.3 million for a road which will be about, I think it's about 8 kilometres long, 8 to 10 kilometres, going across and through Stockport's Greenbelt. Now, when this road was originally proposed, it was proposed at motorway standard. Well, they couldn't quite get away with that, could they? So it's now been scaled down. But, as Councillor Bodsworth said, it's very like this outline business case on the environmental impact. And that, of course, is to tempt you in to the next phase of doing a full business case and generating some more fees for consultants. That's how I see it anyway. It does say on page 218 there'll be large adverse impacts. We don't know, I don't know what creatures live in the Goyt Valley. I mean, there may be otters, badgers, great crested newts, but clearly there's a potential there for major habitat disturbance of those creatures. It talks about the potential flood risk and the culverting of the Poise Brook. Now, I've been invited on a number of occasions to walk this route. I have walked it in the past, but not with any of the people who are in the room tonight. It is an area of high landscape, it's a landscape character area in the local plan. And we don't have many of those in Stockport. And if you think that it would improve the situation to build a road through the Goyt Valley, then I'm afraid I don't agree with you at all. There's another point in this report. It talks on page 159. The existing highway network is acting as a barrier to economic growth and regeneration, and in particular adjacent to the A6 in Stockport town centre. Now, forgive me, but hasn't a new hotel recently opened adjacent to the A6? Haven't we got a new cinema coming adjacent to the M60? I can't see where this barrier to economic growth and regeneration along the A6 is coming from. I also think in this business case we've got the reassertion again of this business of narrowing the A6, in this case through Hazel Grove, and the ludicrous proposition that you reduce it to one lane of traffic in either direction. Of course, if you did that, that would encourage people to use this road once it was built. And that comes to another very important point about this business case. The actual model they're using does not include the proposition about induced traffic. What it's doing, as Councillor Blair indicated, is moving the problem from the A6 through the Goyt Valley. It's moving the air pollution, it's introducing light pollution in the Goyt Valley because this road would be lit, and you'll have 5 signal control junctions, as I understand it, if the road were ever to be built. The other point about it is there'd be a 200-metre bridge going across the landscape, which isn't there at the moment. Now, some people like concrete bridges. You can see them on a large scale in parts of France. But I don't think one in this location would add anything at all to the quality of the environment. There's also a tunnel proposed at the Redbury end of this of 620 metres. It's not quite clear from the business case what this tunnel would actually cost. And of course we've heard tonight about the existing difficulties and how you could somehow mitigate them by probably radically altering the junction that is there now at the Bredbury end. So these things lead me definitely to the conclusion this isn't a good idea. The point that was also made by Councillor Blair is another interesting one, and that is that the traffic benefits of this A6 Mar, which has cost a phenomenal amount of money, I wasn't even convinced that that was necessary either, and the Point and Relief Road, which has recently got planning approval, will have largely been eroded by 2024. And that's only 7 years away from now. So the question really goes to this: if you were to build this road, how long would the benefits last, and how long would we then have an application to extend the road, widen it? There's no end to this kind of activity, and what we're really dealing with here is the wealthy single car commuters from North Cheshire who are going to come, and parts of Derbyshire, induced, and the freight traffic, the very nice smell of diesel across the Goyt Valley, I'm sure will be appreciated by one and all in Stockport, that's going to come if you were to build this particular structure. The scheme is forecast to reduce traffic flows along the A6 by, I think it's about 15 to 25% over the day, but slightly smaller in the peak hours. And it's the peak hours that are the important here, the fact that 3/4 of the people who go to Manchester Airport currently get there by car. And this airport wants to get up to something like nearly double what its current passenger throughput is. Are they all going to get on the plane on time? I rather doubt it, but we'll have to wait and see. The other thing that disturbs me about the outline business case is this. It says, and this is why you've got to read these very, very carefully indeed, because the people who draw them up can produce them on a production line. They know what to put in, and as Councillor Blair has pointed out, they know what to take out on occasions, which isn't particularly helpful. This particular phrase says, at present, no contributions are expected from local developers towards the cost of the scheme. But of course, if you're accepting that you're going to have to build on Greenbelt, the land on either side of these roads is in fact Greenbelt. So I'm very worried about that, and I think Councillor Blair, although he was rather obviously obsessed with High Lane, the proposals there are for another 5,000 properties, as I understand it. It's gone down, right. So it's a substantial number if we were to go down that route. I think the business case is predicated on the basis that the road will be constructed. I don't think you can read anything else into it, quite frankly. As I say, I'm not convinced at all that we should be spending public money, particularly in a post-Brexit situation of this level. Can we afford it when growth is probably not going to be as great as we might have thought? So overall, if you think about what you could do with 477 million at Stepping Hill, for example, Councillor Wyatt wouldn't have to wait 3.75 hours to be seen. You could be seen in 10 minutes if there was sufficient resource put into that particular unit. William Bragg, the MP for Hazel Grove, is in favour of this scheme, as is the Conservative MP for Cheadle. And in March this year, he initiated an adjournment debate where he was pleading with the government to finance this scheme. And even the government minister had to admit this is a very expensive scheme. So I don't really think that we should go any further with this at all, for the reasons that I've outlined. But certainly the environmental reasons for not going ahead are extremely powerful in my view.
Thank you, Councillor. Just to clarify,